Hello, Lancast viewers and listeners. It's Sunday morning, June 22nd, 2025. I was going to release our latest podcast episode, which we recorded a couple nights ago with our friend Becky Casey. But last night, the U.S. just dropped bombs on Iran, and I just wanted to add on this quick part. I mean, I have a lot of thoughts going through my head. First off, I'm against it, yet I remain hoping and praying that Iran will have some restraint, and like they did in 2020 after the unlawful assassination of General Soleimani. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about it at this point. I want to play this clip from Sergeant Dan McKnight of Defend the Guard. His position on this, his statement, articulates it better than I can, and then we'll play the episode. Thanks.
Tonight, the United States launched airstrikes against Iran, and make no mistake, this is an act of war. And it was carried out without a vote from Congress, without debate, and without consent of the American people. We are praying for our troops in the region, many of whom are thousands of miles away from home, now sitting in the middle of a powder keg. We are praying for innocent civilians who will suffer in the crossfire, and we are praying that this moment doesn't become the start of something much worse. But prayer alone is not enough. This is what happens when we let hype, fear, and the permanent war mindset take the place of clear thinking and constitutional restraint. This wasn't just overreach. This was a decision shaped by the same media panic, beltway fear-mongering, and neocon fantasies that have been manipulating U.S. foreign policy for decades. Let's be clear. This is not what America First looks like. America First means protecting our borders, defending our people, and making sure that the brave men and women in uniform are never sent into war unless it's absolutely necessary and only with the proper constitutional authority. The Founding Fathers did not give Congress the power to declare war as a suggestion. They gave it to them as a safeguard so that no single individual could ever send us into war or conflict on their own whim or decision. No matter who's in the White House, Democrat or Republican, if they act without that authority, it's a betrayal of the Republic. We do not serve a party. We do not serve a government. We serve the Constitution, and we serve our fellow men. And moments like this are why we do what we do. Let's hope that this ends here. Let's pray for peace. Let's pray for wisdom, and let's pray for accountability. And let's remember who we are and what country we're supposed to be. God bless our nation, and please, God, bless and guide the President of the United States.
Oh, we were just talking a little bit about Trump before we started the recording. There's, at least on social media, there appears to be the appearance of a fracture within the MAGA movement. And there's a lot of us who are critical of what's going on with how he's managing the Iran situation. And some people also maintaining support for him. What do you guys want to comment on that? I mean, Josh, I kind of know what you're going to say. You're kind of on the lines of Dave. I think Dave Smith went too far when he said he should be impeached for how he's handling that. I mean, come on, like that's not going to fix anything. That's what the Democrats do. Like, but I mean, if there is one moment that I've been disappointed in, it is now with the.
Well, why?
We're already involved in war because we're involved in a preemptive war, just like we did with Iraq. Like, no matter how Trump spins it right now, we aided and abetted this preemptive attack and undermining Trump's own negotiation that was supposed to take place on Saturday or Sunday. And days before that, we sneak attacked them, or, well, I say Israel did it, but like with our blessing, clearly, our weapons. Mm-hmm. So why did we do that? Why didn't we just have the negotiations? And I mean, there's a lot of detail here. I just learned today, Iran's actually part of the nuclear non-proliferation treaty between countries, and Israel is not. And yet Israel's accusing Iran of developing weapons. It's so hypocritical. Like,
well, that's right. Well, Israel's actually breaking international law by lying that they don't have a nuclear bomb when we obviously know they have nuclear.
Knows. Everybody knows they have it. They just
can't say that because they'd be breaking
international law. According to Dave Smith, that's why they won't admit it, is because then they'd be forced to sign that treaty. That's the only reason they don't do it. So I learned that today.
Wow. When was that signed? Do you know the date on that?
I just pulled it up on my phone. So Iran signed the treaty in 1968 and ratified it in 1970 as a non-nuclear weapon state, meaning it is committed to not developing nuclear weapons.
I'm
However,
sure Iran would never lie, right?
Well,
Like they
right.
would
I
I'm
don't
not
think
saying
that,
they're not.
I don't think that's the point. I think the point is we were about to have negotiations with Iran, and Israel went underneath us against what Trump wanted, actually, because I watched the video just,
Right.
I don't know, 30 minutes ago, and Trump said, honestly, this is what he said. Trump said, honestly, I told them not to do it. I told them I'd rather you not do it until I have been able to negotiate with them. And Israel went behind America, used their weapons, and preemptively bombed Iran when Iran has been 18 months away from a nuke for the past 30 years, according to Israel. So,
Yeah,
I mean, Netanyahu's been
think
saying they're 18 months away from nuclear bomb since, I think, 1989.
20 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. I don't think it's about a nuke, obviously. I do think it's more about China and the $400 billion deal that China signed with Iran to buy their oil.
Okay.
This is more about China and NATO and the Chamber of Commerce branch of the blob, than it is. I'm not coming up with this on my own. My resources lead me to believe that this is so that China can't get the riches, so that China can't. If China gets a hold of Iran, they're the number 2 in natural gas and number 3 or something in oil. Number 1 is Russia, right? So
Well, they're in
NATO say it.
They're already together, and they're all 3 of those countries are already in BRICS.
Yes.
So Iran's already doing business with China and has been doing business with China for
400 billion. Well, they signed the $400 billion trade deal, I think, in 23, if I'm correct. 22 or 23.
I think the scarier thing is that we pulled our strike group out of the South China Sea to aid this attack for Israel, and we're opening Taiwan to an invasion. I think that's a bigger.
Yeah.
I'm more like, if China is involved, they moved the Nimitz strike fleet from the South China Sea to the Middle East. Doing that basically gives China a leg up if they want to take Taiwan right now. And be clear, we cannot stop them from taking Taiwan.
Right.
We can't stop them. So if our striker fleet is gone because it's in the Middle East, trying to make sure Israel doesn't get, missile striked every day from 7 different countries, we're basically leaving Taiwan open to invasion. So I think if China is involved, I think that's their play. I don't know if it's economical. I think it's more trying to get Taiwan.
Well, I mean, think about who has Baghdad's Air Force Base right now. Like China occupies that.
Bagram.
Yeah, not Baghdad. Bagram Air Force Base. Thank you. Right. China is occupying that. China is all over this region. They signed that $400 billion. They're going to spend $400 billion over the next 25 years to invest in Iranian oil. Well, that really pissed off Chevron and Exxon and BlackRock and all of those guys who are, fund NATO. The Atlantic Council, they're pushing. Did you hear about the U.S. military members who were caught? I heard briefly about it in some sort of Iranian spy ring or something.
No, I haven't heard
recently.
about that.
Yeah, I'll have to send you that. They're investigating that right now, but and when you think about it, I mean, it's just Obama gave Iran how much money? So Iran has been this proxy for, initially it started out, I believe, so that they could compete with China or compete with Russia. as far as the gas production and the oil production and all of that. And so the Ukrainian war happens after the 2015. The coup in Ukraine starts in 2014, right? The coup that was
the coup. Yep, Maidan
what?
coup.
What was that? That was grassroots and all of that when it was RCIA.
Oh yeah, yep.
Most obviously, and then in 2015, Barack Obama signs the JCPOA agreement,
Mm-hmm.
and then Trump comes in and says, "I'm going to nix that." He gets elected president, and that just crushes. That's why Israeli, like NATO relations, has been terrible since that time. I mean, yeah, and we see all of this in 2016. We started noticing all of this anti-Semitic, which, I'm not saying that going against Israel is anti-Semitic, because all governments suck, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But this Jew hating on campus, and it's just ridiculous. So I think that
So people lose their First Amendment right for saying anti-Semitic things?
No.
Okay. Well, I think all three of us are in agreement then on that, because I think Danny at the beginning. Sorry, I don't want to forget this. Danny was saying at the beginning how there's a fracture in the MAGA movement.
Definitely.
There's always been a fraction in the MAGA movement.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
The fraction was America First or MAGA. It's never been the same. It's never been one and the same. And I think Danny knows that too. I mean, I think you and I did. We both know that there's always been a fraction, and it was just like we have to make sure at least the somewhat better side wins. So the America First side had to ride the coattails of Trump. So when you're seeing Tucker Carlson going at it with Ted Cruz like he did today, which I love that. I mean, Tucker is 100% right. Tucker Carlson.
I love Tucker.
Yeah,
Tucker Carlson crushed Ted Cruz, crushed him. It was. If you guys haven't seen it, it's on YouTube. I mean,
I subscribe to Tucker.
Oh my gosh, he just destroyed Ted Cruz on the difference between supporting Israel and then supporting Jews.
Did he? I didn't see that.
And guess who was the first one who brought up the word Jew? It wasn't Tucker. It was Ted Cruz.
But Jew is a word to describe Jewish.
Well,
it's not a derogatory term.
Tucker was trying to make a point on his podcast with Ted Cruz that the state of Israel has been basically has been lobbying America for going on 70 years.
Yes.
And they've been lobbying us basically illegally because they haven't been lobbying truthfully as a foreign agent. And of course, that set off Ted Cruz, and Ted Cruz started calling him anti-Semitic because, you're saying it's the Jews, and Tucker's like, I haven't mentioned the Jews. I'm talking about a state, Israel, the state, and how they have a lobby. They have the biggest lobby in D.C. that lobbies both sides, the AIPAC, that they lobby the Republicans and the Democrats both. And they don't have to register as a foreign agent when every other country can lobby us, but they have to be registered as a foreign agent. And
why is that the case?
Well, you don't want.
Why doesn't Israel register under FARA? I don't understand that.
They're above
why is it?
They're above. They're apparently above it. They're apparently above it. But if you say that, like you were saying earlier, you'll be called anti-Semitic.
Right. It's a terrible woke trick. It's like calling somebody racist because whatever. It's the same thing that the woke left do, and I'm ashamed of everyone who uses that tactic. And it's and I'm not to say you were talking about the campus protests. I'm sure there are some idiot students who buy into the whole anti-Semitism, but I think it's also weaponized against them. If they're having a legitimate protest against genocide going on in Gaza, then it's easy to to spin that as, well, they're just a bunch of anti-Semites and let's disregard that. So
Right.
Well,
And
so that's
not
just
only
the
disregard it, but
narrative.
make it illegal. Not just disregard it, but make it illegal to say.
Well, right.
Like,
And
like DeSantis has made laws in Florida where you cannot say anything against Israel because it's a Jewish state and you're being anti-Semitic. They're
yeah,
also
I've never been a fan.
They're also deporting anyone that is like basically saying that we support the Palestinians, not Hamas, but the Palestinian people to get their human rights.
Right.
So like that's what I'm talking about. The split. There's a MAGA and then there's America First, and you're seeing that split happen right now.
Right. Well, DeSantis has never been MAGA. Sorry, but that's just a fact.
You're right. Well, I never liked DeSantis, so
no,
I'm a Vivek guy. Danny knows I'm a Vivek guy.
Yeah. Well, DeSantis did a good job. He was one of the better governors during COVID, but yeah, he's got
loosely on paper. Well, it was Joseph Ladapo, who was the his health secretary, I believe.
Oh,
he was fantastic.
Joseph Ladapo. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's amazing.
Kristi Noem and the South Dakota governor. What's his name?
Oh,
what's the South Dakota
That's Kristi Noem is the South Dakota governor.
That is her, yeah.
Who's the North Dakota governor?
Nate Burgum.
Burgum. Yeah. Both of them did great during COVID. Truly great.
Yeah, I love that guy. I when he was running initially for president, I thought, I like that guy. And everybody laughed at me for saying that. I thought he was really smart. I think he's a smart guy. And,
he is smart.
We didn't know if Trump was going to be in the clink or not. So I was trying to decide who else I would go with. But yeah, I love that guy. I'm glad he's on our side.
Yeah,
for
sure. But yeah, just to wrap up what Josh was saying, I mean, I wish my fellow Republicans would do better on the subject of Israel. It's kind of like there's this blind spot there, and like I don't hate Israel as a country, and I love my Jewish friends, obviously, and I shouldn't even have to qualify that.
No,
it's ridiculous that we have to like tread lightly when we're talking about Israel because they're doing harm to our country. Their influence on us is doing harm, and that's why I'm bringing it up. It has nothing to do with anti-Semitism or whatever.
Of course not.
Yeah. So
well, they're creating blowback. They're creating blowback for our own country.
Right.
9/11. I mean, if you read Osama bin Laden's letter to America, he says, "I'm doing this to you on 9/11, not because." Well, the lie was George Bush said they did it because they hate us for our freedom, which was not in the letter. Osama bin Laden's letter stated that you have basically imprisoned the Palestinians. And you have been in our Holy Land for 40 years. And
yeah. I mean, all these regime change operations all over the world since who knows when, for going in and stealing resources and dethroning leaders. I mean, it's gonna catch up with us. This is, the chickens are coming home to roost with some of this. Now, I'm not saying we should be attacked, but, how long can we regime change? How long can we color revolution other countries without, legitimate concerns?
And that reminds me, I wanted to bring up the General Wesley Clark. You know what I'm talking about, Josh.
I was going to bring it up too. I was going to bring it up too because she started naming them, and I was like, Libya, Somalia,
right? You know what I'm talking about, Becky. The thing he said back in, I think it was under oath in like 2005 or 3 or maybe earlier, about how he got this secret memo that we were going to get regime change of all these countries, and Iran was last. And so far, we've regime changed all of those countries except for Iran. So that's the biggest problem I have here. If that's actually unfolding, then how can any of us support that? And
I mean, first of all, it would be stupid. It would be ridiculous to regime change in Iran when, this whole thing was to weaken the leadership, right? We took out their defense, their intelligence. So if they're in a weakened state, why do we need to regime change? Right. And
Right.
I mean, we do because and every regime change operation that we've done, we've placed a leader
Yep.
that is one of our puppets.
Yep.
But then you got to babysit that puppet.
Yeah. And most
Right?
of the
Like
time, the country is no better off than it was before.
we've ruined countries.
Right.
You know, just absolutely. I have friends who are Nicaraguan and from El
Mhm.
Salvador, and you know, we've ruined their countries.
Yeah.
But we'll give you 300 million a year, or whatever it is, you know. And I don't think Trump wants to do that anymore. I honestly don't. I don't believe he's.
No, I agree with you. I don't think he wants to, but he's kind of backed himself into a corner now. So I don't know how he's going to handle it. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm hoping things work out because I
Yeah.
mean he also like I didn't agree when we bombed Soleimani on his during his first term, but I was impressed the way he kind of damage controlled that, and we didn't end up going to war with them. You remember
Yeah.
when General saw, and I probably disagree with most of my fellow Republicans about that. You guys, I don't know if you guys supported that, but I thought it was a bad idea, and there was no proof that guy was like the head of terrorists. He was like a renowned general. I don't know. I mean, depends on how you define terrorist, but it was something we shouldn't have done. But I was glad he damage controlled it. That's just my view of that, and I'm hoping that happens again. Is my point. I'm optimistic. Maybe he can fix things, but I'm talking about Trump here. But
well, yeah, I
Yeah.
think we all hope that Trump can fix this, and
right.
we don't get any boots on the ground. At the very least, I'm hoping for no boots on the ground in Iran.
And he's smart enough to know that, yeah, the American people don't want American boots in the ground. I don't.
Not yet. But if Iran gets a dirty bomb in America, I mean,
they already have it in America. If that's the case, right?
my biggest fear is that is Iran, or we get a false flag that pushes us into war, like the strike fleet Nimitz, the Nimitz strike fleet. You know, this is their last mission before they retire that aircraft carrier.
Oh yeah, I've seen the memes on social media.
How convenient would it be on the last mission, their last voyage, it gets sunk?
Yeah.
How it just seems like the Gulf of Tonkin all over again.
Sure.
Because all you have to if 9/11 proved anything, is that nothing brings us together more than carnage of our own people being killed. Right. So what scares me the most is that we have a false flag, and somehow, some way, a lot of people believe the media, and we get sucked into a hot war with Iran over another Gulf of Tonkin incident.
Right.
Yeah. Well, so Josh, I hate to be the one to, you brought up, this is the first time I'm meeting you, so I have to know about your, can I segue? Can I ask a quick,
Oh, yeah.
Can I take a quick little detour?
Oh, yeah. Please, I'm usually the one that does this.
What's your take on 9/11 then?
Ooh.
Do you think it's exactly as it says? Do you think the 9/11 Commission was 100% correct?
Listen, I was the generation that was highly propagandized. Okay, I was in kindergarten when that happened.
Oh, stop! I don't want to hear it.
I was insanely propagandized. I didn't meet a Muslim until 2020, and I didn't talk to a Muslim until 2020. I grew up in the Midwest, so I thought all Muslims.
But not Minnesota. You grew up in the Midwest, but not.
I grew up in
Sudan.
Missouri. I grew up in Missouri, so we had the Iowa buffer between us and Minnesota. But yeah, I never met a Muslim till about 2020, 2021, and then I realized that they were like great people. So I was heavily propagandized that 9/11 was a terrorist attack because they hate us for our freedom, and that Osama bin Laden is just this crazy guy that wants a holy war.
What do you think now?
I
don't know 100%. Like
I think there's a 70% chance that it was done on purpose, and that most likely it was a controlled demolition, including Building 7. And I think that there is a low percentage chance that Mossad was involved, along with the Saudi Arabians.
Yeah,
that's my that's my guess. I think Mossad, huh?
Yeah, I agree with you. That's a pretty good guess.
I think Mossad and Saudi Arabia and the CIA, they wanted a false flag that would pull American support together for us to overthrow Iraq and all those other countries for the state of Israel.
Okay.
Because it is imperative for whatever reason, it is imperative that Israel is the top dog in the Middle East for whatever reason that is. I don't know if it's so they can control the oil. I don't know if it's so. I don't know why, but it is imperative.
Not survival, though. Not survival.
Survival?
I don't think that's. Yeah, I'm asking. They'll say like, I'm just saying that's what the Iranian or the Israeli people say. Like, it's for our survival that
it probably is for their survival, because they went into a neighborhood they weren't invited to and they pushed everyone out by gunpoint.
I guess, how would we handle that if, in
Pennsylvania,
Hamas moved into New Jersey? Would we just go, hey, Hamas, here's some coffee? Or what would we,
So the problem is, and this is the problem with a lot of Republicans, is that they don't know the history of Israel. They don't understand that the Zionists, all the way back into the late 1800s, were the little Hamas guys. They were the terrorists first. The Zionists of the late 1800s and the early 1900s were the terrorists. They went to that land, they killed people, they stole land, and they even worked with Hitler to get as many Jews out of Germany and into present-day Israel as they could. They worked with Hitler for several years to immigrate Jews to the Middle East, to present-day Israel, to boost up their population.
I actually did know that.
So when you say it's for Israel's survival, you're dang right it is. They're in a neighborhood where they're not welcome. They went to a neighborhood where they were not welcomed.
Got it.
Okay, they literally removed people from their ancestral homes and put them into Gaza, put them into the West Bank, and said, "This is your home now. We're taking your homes, and you can't have it back."
So is that why Hamas then on October 7th felt the need to retaliate and pull babies and other Israeli citizens from their homes and kill them, murder them?
Are you asking me, does that justify it?
No,
or are you asking
is that why? I'm asking you if that was their motivation, as far as you know.
Yes, that's their motivation. That's their motivation. Because the same tactics that Hamas has been using against Israel since 1948 is the same tactics that they were using against the Arabs and the British who were occupying Palestine at the time. They're using the same terrorist tactics that they would use against them back then.
Mm-hmm.
So the Zionists, and when I say Zionist, I don't mean it as a derogatory term. They call themselves Zionist. The Zionists literally killed British soldiers and booby-trapped their bodies so that when they went to cut down the British soldiers that they hung and killed, they exploded.
When was that?
In 1948.
1948.
No, I'm sorry. No. That'd be before 1948. So that would be in the 1930s.
Okay.
When Great Britain was still occupying present-day Israel.
Sure. So you don't feel like they were justified on October 7th? No. Okay.
No, I have complete and utter disdain for what Hamas is doing, I
Mm-hmm.
completely utter disdain for what Israel is doing to the Palestinian people. I think all the Hamas people should be killed. But
Wow.
I also think I think all Hamas should be killed, and I hope they die terrible, suffering deaths.
Wow.
So, like, I want Hamas dead, but the Palestinian
Got it.
people, but the Palestinian people, which, by the way, there is a significant population of Christians that that Israelis keep killing. They keep killing the Christian population first when these wars happen for some reason. They're killing Christians and Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank.
Mm.
So, like, here's the thing: Abraham Lincoln. I believe it was Abraham Lincoln who said, no, it wasn't Abraham Lincoln. It was Thomas Jefferson. He said slavery is like holding a rabid dog. You want to let it go, but you don't dare do it. Because if you let go of a rabid dog, the dog's gonna bite you. But you also can't hold on to the rabid dog because it's gonna bite you. So Israel is in this state where they should give all Palestinians their human rights, the human rights that we all have and we all enjoy in Western countries. But they are scared to do that because of the carnage and the abuse that they've done to those people over the last 80 years.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a day of reckoning that they'll have to face, just like how we had to face as a country when we freed the slaves.
But we're still facing that.
Of course, it's going to take a long time, but
Wow.
but like again, I think Israel has the right to exist. I think their history is just as bloody and just as disgusting as our history of our nation is.
I think all histories of every
course.
nation, because we were conquering people.
Absolutely. And that's my point. Like that doesn't give the Palestinian, the Hamas, the justification to, chop off women's breasts and rape them and kill them and behead them and burn babies. It doesn't justify at all. But again, the conversation that us three are having, if you did this conversation in front of, say, 10 low-informed Republican voters, they might put our heads on a stake.
Oh my! Agreed.
Because
100%.
Right,
especially in Lanc, especially in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
The GOP here is just it's a Bush GOP.
Mm-hmm. And I also what's that?
Dick Cheney GOP. We all know Bush wasn't in charge.
Yeah.
Well, his father was definitely in charge.
His father already had dementia when he was president, wasn't he? At that time? Really?
Mm-mm.
I thought the first Bush was like practically, I mean, once he lost to Bill Clinton, he really wasn't mentally fit to even be involved in politics.
No. That's what they want to tell you. You bought the narrative, Josh.
I don't like either of the Bushes.
Good. I did. I was such a Bushy. And it's like, oh my God, why? Learning. So there's an example of how can people not change their minds?
Right.
You see the information, you go, holy crap, that's startling. And I'm such an idiot for ever being like diehard Bush supporter, but I was, and I can turn that and pivot. How do we get so tribal?
Yeah, that's a big problem.
Well, I mean, when it comes to Israel, it's a religious thing. So
I'm a Christian.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Many people believe that if you're a Christian, you have to support Israel.
Oh yeah, Christian Zionism. That's a whole nother topic. I personally think it's untheologically sound. And we had a discussion about that with Lee Carter, who was not here.
Oh, dude, that's what I'm saying. Is Tucker destroyed Ted Cruz on that very thing?
Yeah.
He did the whole verse where it says, "I'll bless those that bless Israel, and I'll curse those that curse Israel."
Right.
And Tucker was like, "Where's that found?" And Ted Cruz is like, he didn't know where it was. And Tucker's like, Genesis 16, I think. And Ted Cruz is like, oh yeah.
Well, we could do a whole show about the John Hagee and the Schofield Bible and how it was all manipulated.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a whole nother tangent. But yeah, I mean, it's like when you said Zionist is not, it shouldn't be a derogatory word, but I hold Christian Zionism a little bit in disdain because their brain. I'm sorry, this is going to alienate a lot of people, but it's like I don't have a problem with my Jewish friends who are Zionists. Of course, that's part of you go to Israel, it's part of our identity. But the Christian Zionists, I'm sorry, you guys are brainwashed.
Yeah. Well, that definitely could be.
And we should be more kinder. Brainwashed.
Okay.
You know,
okay.
I would from say, Josh, it was like kill more, but hanging.
That's right.
Fire.
You don't think every Hamas soldier should be killed and should be removed from Earth
slowly and painfully?
Yes, slowly and painfully.
Yes.
Okay, well then we're in agreement.
But I just thought it was funny that you were like, we have to be more kind.
We need to be kind to the people who are unknowingly led down a path of that they don't understand or don't know, and they're taking information from they think is an authority figure and doing it, and it's generationally passed down.
Right. Yes, but then there's this thing called the Bible, which is like if you're a Christian, right, and you believe that the Bible is the living word and that you are being in conversation with God when you're reading this Bible, it really it should hit you then. Because when I was reading the Bible, I don't know, a few months ago, I was thinking, wait a minute, who's Israel? We're Israel. Right, so Israel changed forms in the Bible from a man to a nation to a people, or however that goes.
No, you're right.
Yeah. And so you're like, well, I'm Israel because in Christ,
we were grafted on. We were grafted on to the Jew. We particularly were grafted on to the Hebrews that accepted Jesus as the Messiah. And that's where people doctrinally get confused because they think when the Bible says that we were grafted on, they think we are grafted on to the Hebrews, all Hebrews. But what it really means is we were grafted on to the Hebrews that believed Jesus was the Messiah. And he came and died on the cross for our sins. Because if you remember, the majority of the Hebrews believed that the Messiah would be a military conqueror. He'd be a king, not
an earthly king.
Right.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear that wind?
Yes.
Shoot.
I didn't hear it until you pointed it out.
But anyway, I don't know. I'm not a theologian, but I was just telling you what I was thinking in my own revelation, like just reading the Bible. So, I mean, you have to take some personal. Yes, I feel bad for everybody who buys the propaganda, but at some point, you just have to kind of do your own thinking and do your own research. You know what I'm saying? So,
if it wasn't for Danny, I'd still be one of those people.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you wake him up, Danny?
I woke him. Yeah. About the whole Israel-Palestine thing.
Yeah, he woke me up to that, and I'm slowly turning him into a Protestant. I'm just a little slower than he is.
Yes, come to the dark side. You don't want to be there.
Come to the libertarian side of Christianity. I'm sorry, Danny. I love you.
That's all right.
Do you think Martin Luther was a libertarian?
No. When I said libertarian side, I mean like again, if you look at Christianity, you have the rules and restrictions, Catholicism, and then you have the Protestants. And the Protestants have like a billion different denominations.
And living in the grace.
Yeah.
I'm part of the establishment as a Catholic. We're the establishment Christians. Yeah.
Oh, you know what, Danny? I could have. Now it all makes sense.
If you would like to be a guest on Lancast or contact us for any reason, send an email to lancastamerica1st@gmail.com. That's Lancast with 2 C's, America1st@gmail.com. Thank you.